I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder, a condition called anaphylaxis. It is a malfunction in my immune system, a condition that has caused me to become critically ill several times. During 3 anaphylaxis episodes in 2001, I felt my soul leave my body. While I was lying in the ICU, I saw a strange light. Then, my soul appeared in the back seat of a car. My father was driving to the hospital. It was raining heavily outside. My father was still wearing his work clothes. He was driving very fast. I reminded my father from the back seat, "Don't drive so fast, I'm fine now." But my father couldn't seem to see me or hear me. Suddenly, a huge black hole appeared above my head and sucked me in. It was pitch black before my eyes. I was floating in the air, and there was nothing here. I was alone in this place. I longed to see the light. I kept asking myself, where am I? Why am I here? Where did everyone else go? I don't know how long I have been here. I can observe what is going on in the ward. My daughter was standing by my bed. I was lying in a hospital bed with my body attached to a ventilator. Although my daughter was acting strong, I felt my daughter's sadness. I wanted to hug my daughter in the last moments of my life, but now I couldn't do it. For the first time, I tried to get back into my body. I tried to wake her up and make her open her eyes. But nothing happened, she still lay there motionless. Why didn't it work at all? The second time, I tried to make it less difficult and get her to move her fingers. I focused my energy on her hand. I kept cheering myself on, but the second time I failed again. I tried many more times, but the result was the same. I felt desperate. Just then, the black hole above my head reappeared and sucked me in once more. I closed my eyes, I did not want to struggle again. But this time, I noticed the walls were pulsating, as if they were breathing. I suddenly appeared in a dark room. I was confused, but not afraid. Then I heard a man's voice. And he told me to look forward. I thought it would be God, but I didn't see anyone. Then a huge screen appeared in front of me, like an old-fashioned movie projector. Then the movie started. God said, "This is your life." After it finished playing, there was darkness around me again. Then God said, "This is your life, how do you see it?" The projector restarted and started playing again, this time with an additional thing on it that looked like an EKG. In my life, if I do one good thing, these lines go above the middle line. If I do one wrong thing, it goes below the middle line. It runs through my whole life, with many peaks and valleys on the chart. Then the voice said, "This is your life." I started to cry. He didn't criticize or praise me. He had nothing but unconditional love for me. I said to him, "Can I come with you? I don't want to stay in the dark." He said, "I know what you are going through, but your mission is not finished yet, you have to go back and finish your mission. Trust me, everything will be fine." When I opened my eyes again, I was back in my hospital bed. My tears flowed uncontrollably. I looked at my daughter at my bedside and I knew that I was back. I was in shock because what had happened was so real. 2 years later, I no longer needed any treatment and slowly I was getting back to my normal life. I have never felt so good about life. I knew God had changed me. He is always there for us. God is with you. After hearing the first story, do you think the person who spoke to her was really God? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments section. The second story is also from a mother. But her experience is even more sympathetic. Let's hear her story. My husband and I have been married for 6 years. We were very happy when we first got married. But as we spent more and more time together, we had more and more arguments. One incident became the main reason for our divorce. I found out he was cheating on me, and he didn't deny it when I found out. He also kept blaming me and saying that I had a bad temper. I re-rented my own house outside. I don't want to stay in this house, and being with him makes me feel sick. He still lived in our old house. One morning, we had a meeting with a friend. This friend was a lawyer, and I wanted to consult her about some things regarding my divorce. This friend was a high school friend of mine, and we had always been close. In the evening, she left me at her house for dinner. After dinner, I was ready to take my son home. My friend advised me to stay because she had a bad feeling. I know now that it was a reminder from God. I wish I had listened then. I insisted on going home. I was so upset and just wanted to be alone. Then I left my son there. My friend happened to be on vacation for 2 days, and she agreed to watch my son for me. As I put my son in his crib, I looked at his face and thought to myself how peaceful he was. He was now my only comfort. I assured my friend that I would come over tomorrow afternoon. Reluctantly, she let me go. The drive to my house was only 20 minutes away. When I arrived home, I was about to go upstairs and get ready to wash up when I heard someone jump in from the kitchen. I raised my guard. I slowly made my way downstairs, and it turned out to be my husband. I asked him, how did he know I lived here? And why did he come to my house? I started to feel panic. The only thing I could do was to steady him, and I invited him into the living room. I poured him a glass of water. This would at least give me something to think about and what I should do next. I knew he didn't want to divorce me. I stood in the doorway of the bedroom while he sat on the edge of the couch in the living room. He wanted me to move back in with him. He wanted me to give him one more chance, and he regretted what he had done. I prayed in my heart, God, I need your help. I can't do it. I can't forgive him for cheating. I did not reply to my husband directly, knowing that my reply would anger him. I hoped he would get the hint and leave. But he didn't mean to leave. He kept apologizing to me. I know him too well to forgive him. During my pregnancy, the same thing happened. One day, he took a female colleague to a hotel. At that time, I felt that I did not expose him for the sake of my son's growth. Now he keeps pestering me, wanting me to forgive him. The more I thought about what happened before, the angrier I got. I told him what had happened before. My husband was silent for a moment. Then he rushed into the kitchen and grabbed a fruit knife. I was so scared. I turned around and went into the bedroom. I was about to lock the door behind me when he forced his way into the house. He yelled at me, "That's what you want, isn't it?" I had seen his anger before when he was drinking, and that was another reason we were separated. He liked to torture me mentally and physically. But this time it was much more dangerous. Now he was like a demon. Before I had time to react, my hand had been stabbed by him. Blood flowed down my hand on the floor. His other hand was around my throat, and he said, "I'm going to kill you." I resisted strongly, but his strength was too great and I was pushed into a corner. I pounded him with my arms and legs and my husband let go of my throat. I was about to get up and run away when he grabbed me again and threw me to the ground. When his hand came at me, I instinctively reached out my arms to cover my face. His knife stabbed me in the shoulder. He pinned me to the floor and said for the third time, "I'm going to kill you." Although I was still resisting, I had almost stopped breathing. If I couldn't break free of his grip, I would be dead within seconds. It was then that I gave up fighting and all the panic disappeared. As I entered the darkness, I said in my mind, "I'm ready, God. Take me home." Then a pure light engulfed me and I left my body. My soul moved upward uncontrollably. I don't know how long it took, but I came to a magical place. It was full of contentment and happiness. There are no words to describe where I was. God embraced me with his love. I felt intense love. I had never felt this before. He loved me so much. I was surrounded by love and embraced by God's arms, and I just wanted to stay there forever. I told God, "Thank you, I am finally home." He told me, "It's safe here, no one will hurt you. My daughter, I know what you are going through. Everything will pass and everything will be okay." Then he told me he was taking me back because it wasn't time for me to go home. No matter how much I wanted to stay, God had given me a new life. He took me to the bedroom floor. Slowly, I regained consciousness. When I opened my eyes, I saw my husband sitting on the floor far away from me. Tears were streaming down his face, and his hands were covered in blood. He kept repeating, "I'm sorry, what did I do? Please forgive me." He saw that I was still alive and he slowly stood up. He seemed to notice the blood on his hands for the first time, and he looked at me and asked me again to forgive him. I ignored him. Then, he took the knife and prepared to leave the place. Before he left, he wiped everything he touched with a towel. What he didn't know was that the whole process had been recorded on the home surveillance. I believe God saved me and gave me a second life. After my husband left, I was admitted to the hospital. I turned the surveillance video over to the police. My husband stabbed me during the struggle. As soon as I recovered, I was granted a divorce. I was also granted custody of my son. My ex-husband was arrested and charged with attempted murder. I was no longer afraid. I faced death and all my fears disappeared. I often wonder what would have happened to my children if God had allowed me to stay over there. I thank God for allowing me to grow up with my children. Single moms always have a hard time, but I don't give up. I want to leave the best for my child. I didn't want him to be influenced by his father, and then we moved to live in another city. I knew the rest of my life would be hard, but I believed God was always there for me.